From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. led the ceremonial groundbreaking of the first full-scale agricultural manufacturing complex in Cabanatuan City, Nueva Ecija, as part of efforts to strengthen the country's agricultural mechanization. Established through a Memorandum of Understanding between the Department of Agriculture, or DA, and the Korea Agricultural Machinery Industry Cooperative, or KAMICO, the Korea Agricultural Machinery Industry Complex, or KAMIC, is the first facility in the Philippines dedicated to the assembly and manufacture of agricultural machinery such as tractors, harvesters, cultivators, and seeders to meet local farming conditions. During the groundbreaking ceremony, President Marcos said the facility would be built to strengthen the country's capacity to develop and build farm machinery. President Marcos acknowledged that the Philippines still has to procure many of the agricultural equipment from other countries, adding that many of the tools are not designed for the specific needs of our farmers. He said the project would make farming in the country more efficient and profitable as farmers no longer need to wait for the overpriced equipment. President Marcos stressed that the first agricultural machinery production complex was designed with Filipino farmers in mind, noting that the tools would help boost production, enhance crop quality, and raise farmers' income. KAMIC will be built on a 20-hectare property owned by the local government of Calikid Sur Village, a location jointly approved by the DA and the Cabanatuan City government. Construction is scheduled to start in 2026 and will last 9 years, to be carried out in 3 phases: semi-knockdown assembly, complete knockdown assembly, and full manufacturing assembly. President Marcos assured KAMICO of his administration's commitment to promote policies aimed at protecting its investments in the Philippines. Meanwhile, the president also led the distribution of various agricultural inputs and machinery to farmers in Central Luzon to enhance their productivity and support local agriculture. Among the equipment distributed were 4-wheel drive tractors with implements, mechanical planters, combine harvesters, and hand tractors. President Marcos turned over the agricultural machinery to 44 farmer cooperatives and associations. Farmers also received fertilizer, soil, ameliorants, as well as hybrid seeds and foliar, which will support 22,103 hectares of hybrid rice for the 2025 to 2026 dry season cropping.
This is one of the projects that we have long looked forward to, knowing how essential reliable machinery is to our farmers. We all know all the hardships that come with farming. Our farmers work tirelessly. They invest their money, time, effort just to put food on the tables of their countrymen. Yet for many, the income that they receive does not align with the effort that they put into their work. And so today, on the continuing search of these solutions, we unveil one of these solutions. This complex will be built for Filipino farms, tended by our local farmers. I truly believe that agriculture is the soul of our economy. This is why we will continue to advance the agricultural sector with technology and the support that our farmers rightly deserve, suited to the demands of the modern world. With the help of KAMIC and the hard work of our farmers, I am confident that our nation's future will be more prosperous. The farmers' future will be more prosperous. And our kababayan's future will also be more prosperous. That is how important the work of our farmers is to the rest of the country. Together, we will build productive fields here in Central Luzon and across the country where every farmer can stand tall and be dignified for the work that he or she does. That is our continuing dream, and that is what we will continue to work for.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. presided over the first ever external security operations attended by around 160 battalion commanders from the Intelligence Service of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, or ISAFP, ISAF, and the Philippine Army, or PA. The event was organized to enhance coordination and operational readiness among senior military leaders, reinforcing the Armed Forces' external defense posture. Several photos of President Marcos' meeting with the battalion commanders were uploaded on the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO's, official Facebook page, showing the Commander-in-Chief interacting with the participants. President Marcos, the PCO said, emphasized the need to strengthen the nation's overall security and stability amid evolving internal and external challenges. In recent weeks, President Marcos made a series of military camp visits, assuring the troops of his commitment to boost government support and advance their defense capabilities.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. announced that the government has canceled the passport of former Ako Bicol Party List Representative Zaldico, a key figure under probe for alleged involvement in anomalous flood control projects. President Marcos said he has instructed the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, and the Philippine National Police, or PNP, to coordinate with Philippine embassies abroad to ensure Ko cannot evade the law. Foreign Affairs Secretary Maria Teresa Lazaro, for her part, said the department implemented the passport cancellation at about 5 in the afternoon of December 10, the same day the anti-graft court issued its resolution. Meantime, President Marcos welcomed as good news the surrender of controversial contractor Cesara Rowena, Sara Diskaya, to the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, Tuesday. President Marcos said the process is progressing smoothly, emphasizing that individuals suspected of being part of the alleged syndicate will face justice.
May babalita ko po sa inyo na ang passport po ni Zaldico ay kanselado na. Kaya in-instructionan ko na ang Department of Foreign Affairs, pati ang PNP, na makipag-ugnayan sa ating mga embassy sa iba't ibang bansa para tiyakin na hindi maaring magtago itong ating hinahabol na magtago doon sa kanilang bansa. At kung sakali man ay siya'y pupunta ron, ay i-report sa atin para naman ay maibalik natin siya dito sa Pilipinas. Asahan po ninyo na patuloy pa rin ang ating investigasyon, patuloy pa rin ang ating pagpila ng mga kaso upang tiyakin na ang mga guilty dito sa ganitong klaseng iskandalo ay haharap sa batas at bukod dyan ay maibalik ang ninakaw na pera sa taong bayan.
On December 5, President Marcos announced that the Office of the Ombudsman recommended filing cases of malversation through falsification and violations of Section 3E of Republic Act 3019, or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, against Diskaya and other individuals involved in the GHOST flood control project in Jose Abad Santos, Davao Occidental.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang Wednesday dismissed rumors of an impending cabinet shake-up, saying Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. continues to trust his cabinet, including Education Secretary Sani Angara and Information and Communications Technology Secretary Henry Aguda. Palace Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro made a clarification following reports that Angara and Aguda were allegedly at risk of losing their posts. In a Palace Press briefing, Castro said the two cabinet officials were present at the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, or LEDAC, meeting with President Marcos at the Malacañang Palace in Manila Tuesday. Castro added that both officials even presented updates on their respective projects in a private meeting with President Marcos. Castro said the chief executive remained satisfied with the performance of all his cabinet secretaries. Castro cited the government's response to recent calamities as proof of the cabinet's steady performance. Asked if more officials are expected to be more removed from office, Castro replied that as of now, there is none.
Denied po, dahil kahapon lamang po ay kasama namin sila sa LEDAC meeting. At nagbigay din po sila ng kanilang mga proyekto sa private meeting with the President. So, we denied. Sa ngayon, nakikita po ng Pangulo na ang kanyang mga cabinet secretaries ay nagtatrabaho. Nakita naman natin, sunod-sunod ang kalamidad, sunod-sunod ang bagyo, pero nandiyan pa rin po at nakakatulong tayo sa ating mga kababayan. So, kontento po ang ating Pangulo sa lahat ng kanyang mga cabinet secretaries at habang nananatili sila dyan, nandiyan pa rin po ang tiwala ng ating Pangulo sa kanila. Sa ngayon, wala pa sa ating na ibibigay na anumang update. Wala pa po.
Meanwhile, Castro maintained that the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, ICI, continues to enjoy President Marcos's trust even as Congress deliberates on the proposal to create an Independent People's Commission or IPC. While Castro acknowledged that the ICI has limited powers such as the absence of contempt authority, Castro said the independent fact-finding body is still functioning effectively within its mandate.
Yes, still. Wala pa naman po yung batas eh. At tiwala po ang Pangulo sa mga ginagawa po ng ICI. Walang pangil, hindi po naman ito gagawin ng ating Pangulo kung walang pangil. Yes, oo, wala silang contempt powers because katulad ng sinabi natin, hindi ito ang purpose na isinagawa itong Independent Fact-Finding Commission, kundi mag-gather lamang ng mga documents, data, evidence, na maitutulong kapag nais na isampa ang isang kaso sa DOJ o sa Ombudsman. At marami na po ang nasampahan, marami na rin po ang na-freeze ang assets. So, hindi po natin masasabi na walang naging pangil ang ICI.
Castro also addressed concerns that the proposed IPC may duplicate the functions of the Ombudsman, noting that President Marcos has instructed lawmakers to examine the proposal carefully.
Actually, napag-usapan yan kahapon at nagbigay ng opinion ng ating Pangulo. Natignan lamang kung hindi magkakaroon ng duplication ng work, at especially with the Ombudsman. At wag magamit na weapon or ma-weaponize ito sa pamumulitika. At yun ang tingin natin na aaralin mabuti ng ating mga mababatas na hindi magkaroon ng duplication ng work or magkaroon ng overlapping ng jurisdiction between this IPC and the Ombudsman.
Palace Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang assured the public that there will be no special treatment in the case of businessman Charlie Atong Ang, who is facing multiple charges in connection with the missing sabongeros or cockfight aficionados. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro emphasized that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. always insists that cases should be filed based on solid evidence.
Ang nais naman lagi ng Pangulo ay dapat kung magsasampa ng kaso, ito'y naaayon sa ebidensya. Ayaw niya po ng agarang pag-iimbestiga tapos walang ebidensya dahil kawawa naman timpo ang mga inosenteng tao. Kaya muli, sinasabi natin, hindi katulad ng iba, ang Pangulo po ay nais na puro ebidensya ang gamitin. Hindi madalian.
The Department of Justice, or DOJ, found prima facie evidence with reasonable certainty of conviction to indict Ang for 10 counts of kidnapping with homicide and 16 counts of kidnapping with serious illegal detention over the Sabongeros disappearance. 21 other respondents are also facing 10 counts of kidnapping with homicide, while 10 others as well as unidentified policemen were charged with 16 counts of kidnapping with serious illegal detention. When asked about public concerns over possible special treatment for Ang, Castro said Ang's case now lies in the court's hands.
On the part of the DOJ, meron po silang resolution mismo. Resolution nagpapakita ng prima facie evidence na merong reasonable certainty of conviction. So, nasa kamay na po ito ng korte. So, special treatment from the court? We cannot say that. We cannot speculate on that.
Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said there is no official information yet on the International Criminal Court or ICC's alleged issuance of an arrest warrant against Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa in connection with crimes against humanity linked to the Philippines drug war during the past administration. Palace Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro issued a statement after former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the ICC has already released a warrant of arrest against De La Rosa. She said the public should wait for any official action by the ICC. The Philippine National Police or PNP on Tuesday said it has yet to receive information on De La Rosa's whereabouts. He served as National Police Chief under the administration of former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Asked about Senator Robin Padilla's public advice for De La Rosa not to surrender to a foreign authority, Castro said it would be better if the former PNP chief would comply.
Kung meron silang alam, di ipagbigay alam nila sa lahat. Sa ngayon ay wala pa pong kumpirmasyon kung mayroong natanggap na paabiso patungkol sa existing warrant of arrest. Sa ating pagkakaalam, even the ICC could not confirm the issuance of the said warrant of arrest. So, hintayin na lamang po natin kung talaga magkakaroon ng issuance ng warrant of arrest ang ICC. Ang mensaheng ganyan ay nagpapakita lang ng mga taong ayaw sumunod sa batas. Kapag ka po naman may valid warrant of arrest, alam naman natin kung anong dapat gawin. Hindi po dapat ina-advise na magtago at hayaang pulis na lamang ang humanap sa kanila dahil trabaho nila to. Mas magandang ibigay natin na advice ay sumunod sa batas. At kung payo natin kay Senator Bato, hindi po ako ang kanyang lawyer.
Palace Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said Wednesday that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has directed Congress to prioritize the anti-political dynasty bill and 3 other measures to promote transparency, accountability, and fair governance. In a press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro emphasized the importance of the proposed anti-dynasty bill, Party List System Reform Act, Independent People's Commission Act, and Citizen Access and Disclosure of Expenditures for National Accountability or Cadena Act.
Para sa mas bukas at maayos na pamamahala, ipinag-utos ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. sa Kongreso na gawing prioridad ang 4 na legislative measures. Alinsunod sa hangarin ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. na magkaroon ng bukas at inklusibong pamamahala, ipinag-utos ng Pangulo sa Kongreso na gawing prioridad ang Anti-Dynasty Bill at Party List System Reform Act. Kasama rin dito ang Independent People's Commission Act at ang Citizen Access and Disclosure of Expenditures for National Accountability o ang Cadena Act. Sa ginanap na pangalawang Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council o LEDAC meeting sa Malacañang noong Martes, binigyan diin ng Pangulo ang kahalagahan ng napag-aralan ng Kongreso ang 4 na mga legislative measures. Ayon sa Pangulo, sa pagbabalangkas ng batas, mahalagang malaman ang definisyon ng dynasty sa anti-dynasty bill at ang marginalized sector sa party list system reform upang maisulong ang mga ito. Sang-ayon naman sa Pangulo sa pagsulong sa Independent People's Commission Act na tinawag niyang powerful body na siyang mag-iimbestiga sa lahat ng mga illegal infrastructure projects sa bansa. Sa kabila nito, nananawagan ang Pangulo na siguruhing hindi ito magagamit sa pamumulitika. Wala ring makitang mali ang Pangulo sa pagsulong sa Cadena Act na naglalayong matiyak na bukas at responsable ang paggamit ng pera ng bayan. Sa huli, napag-usapan sa LEDAC ang timeline para sa pagpasa ng General Appropriations Bill at ang pagpasa ng enrolled bills para malagdaan ng Pangulo.
Castro said the move to prioritize the four legislative measures responds to public demand for a fairer political system. Regarding the anti-dynasty bill, Castro explained that the president's position evolved due to abuses seen in the political system. In a Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council or LEDAC meeting at the Malacañang Palace on Tuesday, the president stressed the need for Congress to conduct a thorough study of the four priority bills. President Marcos emphasized the importance of clearly defining the dynasty in the anti-dynasty bill and the marginalized sector in the proposed Party-less System Reform Act to ensure their effective implementation. Castro added that President Marcos supports the Independent People's Commission Act, which he described as a powerful body to investigate illegal infrastructure projects in the country. However, the president wants to ensure that the proposed commission would not be used for political purposes. President Marcos, she said, sees no issue in pursuing the proposed Cadena Act, which seeks to ensure transparency and accountability in government spending. She added that not certifying a bill as urgent does not mean President Marcos is not sincere, noting that the four measures remain clear priorities of the administration.
Ang una po, ito ay Congress at executive na priority bills. Alam po natin yan at nagbigay na po ng mensaheng Pangulo na ito ay unahin at pag-aralang mabuti para maipasa kaagad. Malinaw ang mensahe ng Pangulo. At malinaw din naman po ang sinasabi ng konstitusyon kung kailan lamang po, kailan kailangan mag-certify as urgent ng bill ang Pangulo. Ito ay kung may tinatawag ng public calamity or emergency. So, naaayon naman po sa konstitusyon ang ginagawa ng Pangulo. Hindi naman ibig pong sabihin na hindi sinertify as urgent ang isang bill, ay hindi na po sincero ang Pangulo. Kaya po, binigyan niya ng mensahe, malinaw, priority bills po ang apat na legislative measures. Yung apat na bills na pinag-uusapan natin, unang-una po, naiiba na po yung political landscape. Nakikita natin na mayroong mga umaabuso na politiko, may nagpapaikot ng batas. Public demands a fairer system. Ang nais ng Pangulo, mas lumakas ang kapangyarihan ng taumbayan at hindi nang iilang mapang abusong politiko. Nais ng Pangulo na ang taumbayan ay makapamili ng liderato ng naaayon sa merito at hindi sa apelido. Katulad ng sinabi natin kanina, nagbabago ang political landscape. Maraming umaabuso. At tama naman ang Pangulo, ang kapangyarihan ng pagboto ay nasa kamay ng taumbayan. Pero dahil dito may mga naaabuso, nais ng Pangulo na ipabatid sa taumbayan na kayo ay may choice. Choice na naaayon sa merito, hindi lamang dahil pare-pareho ng apelido. Kaya nga ang bilin ng Pangulo, aralin tong mabuti para maging tama ang definisyon ng dynasty.
Palace Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Attorney Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang said Davao City Representative Paulo Duterte should inform his constituents about his planned 2-month personal trip abroad. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro stressed that while Duterte's travel to 17 countries is personal and not officially sanctioned, public servants like him are expected to serve even when on leave. Duterte has sought House Speaker Faustino D. III's clearance to travel to at least 17 countries from December 15, 2025 to February 20, 2026. According to reports, Duterte is planning to travel to Hong Kong, China, Malaysia, Indonesia, South Korea, Japan, Vietnam, Cambodia, the United States, Australia, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Germany, France, Belgium, Italy, and Singapore. When asked if Duterte is required to report to his constituents despite the travel being personal, Castro said it is important that they are aware.
Nais niya magbiyahe. May pera siya. Gawin niya yung pera niya, sabi niya, 17 countries, nasa kanya po yun. At kailangan din siguro malaman ng constituents niya, na siya ay nasa ibang bansa at nasa bakasyon ng halos more than 2 months. So, wala tayong masasabi kung yan ang nais niya. Dapat malaman ng mga constituents niya dahil more than 2 months siya mawawala.
Hindi po siya official travel.
Kahit hindi siya official travel. Kasi lahat ng public servant dapat nagsisilbi sa bayan. At kung magbabakasyon ng mahigit 2 buwan, hindi natin alam kung paano niya i-explain ito. sa kanyang constituents. Well, anyway, meron siya. Alam niya naman po ang kanyang ginagawa.
As Press Officer and Communications Undersecretary Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Finally, for Dateline Malacañang said concerned government agencies are working to address traffic congestion in Metro Manila, especially during the holiday season. In a press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA, Department of Transportation, DOTR, and other concerned agencies understand Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s directive to act on long-standing congestion problems. Castro said some congestion issues are difficult to address immediately, especially during the Christmas season, but stressed that interventions are ongoing.
Alam naman din po ng MMDA, alam din po ng DOTR, alam din po ng ating mga ahensya kung ano ang nais ng Pangulo. Dapat lahat ng problema magawa ng solusyon. May mga pagkakataon lang siguro na may mga instances na hindi agad-agad na kayang solusyonan. Especially pagka yung patungkol sa traffic, pag itong klaseng season. Pero ginagawan po ng paraan, katulad ng sinabi po ni MMDA Chair Don Artes.
Artes joined the press conference through Zoom noted that the volume of vehicles plying across Metro Manila is extremely high, reaching 450,000 vehicles on EDSA alone, more than its 250,000 capacity. He said the MMDA is also addressing several factors, including the Department of Public Works and Highways anti-overloading operations that inadvertently obstruct lanes, uncoordinated truck ban policies among LGUs, simultaneous mall sales producing a surge of exiting vehicles, and motorists counterflowing, overwhelming traffic enforcers. He said the MMDA has intensified clearing operations along mabuhay lanes and is urging commuters to use mass transportation. To accommodate more passengers, he said the MMDA has coordinated with the DOTR to extend Metro Rail Transit or MRT, Light Rail Transit or LRT, and other public transport's operating hours. He said the MMDA has already convened local governments of Marikina, Pasig, Quezon City, Cainta, and Antipolo to propose mitigating measures. An ocular inspection is also scheduled to finalize coordinated traffic response, Artes said, adding that the MMDA will deploy more enforcers with LGUs committing additional personnel to support traffic rule enforcement.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.